It's really an honor and a privilege for me to be here today to talk about a subject that I believe is one thing that South Africa needs today, particularly at the time when we are approaching elections. Now, I will try to respect time. Now, we should start off by saying that, first of all, I'm the CEO of Proudly South African. Proudly South African stands for national pride, this country's national pride, and patriotism. And I believe that one of the challenges that this country faces today is that we do not have people who are patriots. Some of the most damaging statements that have been made about this country overseas are actually made by South Africans. There is therefore a need for a change in the mindset, in the manner in which we engage with one another. Albert Einstein says we cannot change problems with the same minds that created them. Proudly South African, to summarize what we do, I'm going to use the acronym PRIDE. P stands for productivity. We believe that for South Africa to become a leading nation, we need to be productive. That means there must be an activity that ultimately produces a product. The R stands for reindustrialization. The fact that we are actually in Ekurhuleni is very symbolic of where the future needs to go. We need to reindustrialize this country. I stands for innovation and creativity. We are not going to be able to meet the challenges, whether you call it what President Jacob Gedesi was the triple challenges of unemployment, poverty, and the growing inequalities. We are not going to do that unless we become innovative. And for us to become innovative, I believe it's quite important that we address the education system in this country. I'm very critical of the fact that we have a tendency of celebrating mediocrity. By the way, some of the things I'm going to say today are going to offend some of you. That's fine. You can take it to the papers, I'll deal with it later. We cannot celebrate a 30% matric pass rate and have deadlines. I think that we need to be very serious. I mean, just in medical terms, would you seriously go, especially for the guy, would you go for circumcision to a guy that has passed the 30%? Like the 70% that part of your body may not. Let's talk engineering. Would you literally drive your family over a bridge where there are 30% chances of survival? And I'm saying, if we have to address the challenges that we face as a country, we need to set the bar high. Innovation and creativity is what will let us into a brighter future, to address the challenges that we face. Number four, it's about, the D stands for domestic consumption. Now, I don't want to put you on a spotlight, but if we were to do label checks, starting with myself, we are consumers of foreign products. We consume foreign products at the expense of the capacity to build this country, to become one of the leading nations. Can you imagine the power of us supporting one another as future leaders? The E stands for enterprise development and economic development. That's what we stand for. Anyway, let me pay the bills. It's difficult for me to see. To put it into context, sorry, I'm going to struggle because I'm going to do this. Okay. It's about addressing the meaning of life. If we were to deal with leadership, first point I want to make to you is, number one, every one of us in this room is a leader. You are a leader. John Maxwell, who's a leading guru in leadership, says leadership is about influence. The mere fact that you can influence somebody makes you a leader. By the way, and I always say this, I was perfect until I met my wife. The problem with the world that we live in today is that, don't worry, you'll get it later. The problem we face is that there's a mindset that has literally taught us to break us down and never to believe in ourselves. And this is part of what apartheid, I know these young people call it apartheid. I call it apartheid because I come from there, you see. I come from that era. You are all leaders, and begin to see yourself and carry yourself as one. Number two, second point I want to raise with you is that leadership is not easy. Leadership is not easy. And the best form of leadership you can ever have is to lead yourself. To lead yourself. There is a gentleman called Ken Blanchard. He wrote a book called The 1 Minute Manager. He's developed a leadership model called Lead Like Jesus. One of the things that Ken Blanchard makes, a very powerful statement, he says, don't mark my script, help me get an A. We need to build a mindset in society today where our people will ultimately have the belief in themselves. Mahatma Gandhi ji says, be the change you want to see in the world. This is the same Gandhi, by the way, that walked the streets of South Africa. This is how privileged we are. That Mahatma Gandhi that is celebrated today, the same Mahatma Gandhi that lived in the same country as you and I, the same country of Nelson Mandela. And so I have studied this leadership model for some time, and I have come to the following conclusion. Well, first of all, that leadership is about influence, nothing more, nothing less. Leadership is a verb, it's not a noun. So we must never confuse people who occupy, we must never confuse leadership with people that occupy offices. It's not about being an office bearer. See yourself as a leader. Now, as part of seeing yourself as a leader, Mahatma Gandhi, for example, I've studied a number of models and I want to share this with you. And I'm going to use a letter H. Jeremy, I'll finish. A letter H. The first H stands for the head of a leader. Mahatma Gandhi talks about the 7 deadly sins. He talks about wealth without work. And I think you see it every day in the townships, and everywhere you go, in Sandton. Pleasure without conscience, knowledge without character. Some of the most fools I have come across in my life, there is nothing like an educated fool. People who have no character whatsoever. Because people who lack character are the people who ultimately lead to destruction in society. Case in point, you come home, you come to work, and you're just a miserable person. Hey, I didn't say about intimidating, so we'll do the translation later. Comments without morality. How do you do business? Is there any sense of ethics in the manner in which you do business as a leader? Science without humility, without humanity, religion without sacrifice. You know, we listen to people, no. That's politics without principles. But every time as we approach the elections, May 7th, I think we need to be all very responsible and vote responsibly. You know, I said leadership is not easy. Now, if you think, there's a report prepared by Goldman Sachs, December 2013. Please read that report. And read the National Development Plan. The copy that I have of the National Development Plan is about 150 something pages. I don't know, about 408 pages. One of the points that is made there is the type of infrastructure in the country that was inherited by the ANC government. Now, whether you like the ANC or not, that's beside the point. The point is that we inherited problems that were created by some of you or your cousins. But now, it is our problem. So we inherited this thing, so it's our problem. And let me say this, you see, what this government did not do is they never collapsed the infrastructure. It's not easy. Just travel on the African continent. I went to a visit in South Sudan last year in July. Do you know how much they pay for petrol, a liter of petrol? South Sudan has the 3rd largest crude oil deposit on the African continent. They pay $2 for their petrol. I went to India Delhi and Calcutta, to Hyderabad, let me tell you, you complain about taxes, let me tell you, in India, they put one simple motto, good luck, good brakes, and good horn. See, if your horns don't work, if your brakes don't work, good luck to you. I have gained a different level of respect for taxi drivers in South Africa after my trip to India. You complain about potholes. There's an opportunity for you to tend the sheep. I mean, I agree. We need to be creative and innovative. That's what we need. So, let me try and wrap it up, so we can have this robust debate. And I, in the interest of time, I will just skip some of the slides. The second H is the hands of a leader. We look at your heart as a leader. We look at your hands. Now let me talk about the heart. Don't call me a pastor, because I'm going to read from the Bible. Just in case you didn't think I do have one, I do. And I'm going to read from the King James Version of the Bible. And I want to talk about this thing because I think it's what South Africa needs today. Matthew 20, verse 25. Please take it down. Matthew 20, verse 25. This is what Jesus says. This is what the Bible says. But Jesus called them to himself and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and those who are great exercise great authority over them. Yet it shall not be so among you. But whoever desires to become great among you, let him be your servant. And whoever desires to be first among you, let him be your slave." So, what I believe this country needs today is servant leadership. We need to develop the mentality and the culture of service, that we are here to serve our people. And if we can transition the discussion on leadership to the discussion on servant leadership, I believe most of the challenges that we face today in society we will be able to overcome. That we will not need some of the reports that are currently flying around. Because if you're a servant leader, you know that it's not about you. It's about the people. You stop being selfish and you think very carefully. You have an opportunity. Most of you sit behind very powerful desks. Someone has traveled from Limpopo. Sorry, it's just an example. Or Eastern Cape. And some of these people who travel from Limpopo and Eastern Cape, do you realize that some of the people that come to see you, that's the last cent that they had? They're pinning their hopes on you to change their lives. Now, I'm not going to give you a high-level business school with razzmatazz and trapeze artists coming out of the room. I just want to break it down. We need to show love to people because there's a lot of brokenness in society. What we need, what this country needs today is servant leadership. Not people full of egos. I mean, I saw it. I worked on the World Cup. I worked for an organization called SAFA. I don't know why you call an organization SAFA. For the record, I suffered. But here's the point. I have people with egos that can fill jumbo jets and stadiums. My brother, my sister, you have an opportunity today to change that perspective. Because what South Africa needs today, what the people of South Africa, what the statistics tell us, is that there is brokenness in the world today. And you and I have a responsibility to restore and offer hope to our people. The Dalai Lama, I borrowed this from the Himalaya. He says, our prime purpose in this life is to help others. And if you can't help them, at least don't help them. That is 13% of my presentation. I thank you for your time. That's